Hello and welcome to all of you us in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Obong Usoro. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after high-level economic engagement, declaring that Nigeria has regained its footing on the global economic frontline through improved macroeconomic stability and reforms. He said Nigeria's economy is stabilizing with projected GDP growth of 4.4% in 2026, inflation declining to 12.94%, and the country nearing a transition into a net exporter of refined petroleum products driven by the Dangote refinery. Shettima also joined former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and Finance Minister Wale Edun to advance the Accra Reset Initiative, which promotes African industrialization powered by domestic capital and value chains rather than foreign aid. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to building an inclusive and future-ready education system as Nigeria marks the 2026 International Day of Education. In a statement released by the Federal Ministry of Education, the government said it is shifting away from traditionally top-down models to participatory learning systems that emphasize digital fluency, innovation, and entrepreneurship. The government added that with over half of Nigeria's population under 30, collective action is essential to ensure every learner gains skills and mindsets needed to drive national transformation. The Anambra State government has banned Monday school closures, urging all education workers to resume immediately or risk losing 20% of their salaries. This is according to a circular by the Anambra State Universal Basic Education dated January 2022-2026, signed by the Board Secretary Honorable Mabena Loblini. The directive was issued following the State Executive Council retreat held on Tuesday, January 21, 2026, and presided over by Governor Chukwuma Charles Soludo. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has declared full support for the indefinite strike by workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA), describing the action as a necessary response to alleged violations of workers' rights. In a statement signed by NLC President Joe Ajoro, the union accused FCTA of failing to remit pension contribution and National Housing Fund deduction since May 2025, calling it a deliberate assault on the working class. The NLC directed all affiliated unions in the FCT to join the strike and mobilize for a court hearing on January 26, warning that failure to resolve the dispute would lead to further escalations. Let's go for a short break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The Nigerian Army says sustained military pressure will force bandits out of major communities in Benue State, restoring relative peace to areas once notorious for frequent killing. Commanding Officer COAS Intervention Battalion 6, Lieutenant Colonel Donatus Otobo, says the battalion has achieved about 80% security control across its area of responsibility since deployment in July 2025. Kikelomo Okere brings details.
Speaking with defense correspondent on a media tour at the battalion's forward operating base in Tachu local government area of Benue State, Lieutenant Colonel Otobo disclosed that troops encounter over 10 bandit attacks on their first day entering the area, but aggressive patrols, day and night ambushes, and coordinated operation have since neutralized criminal presence in Guma and Yelwata communities. He says Yelwata, once a flashpoint, has remained inaccessible to bandits since troops established dominance, forcing criminal fleeing pressure from Nasarawa state border communities to retreat.
That we dominate this particular ground and the entire Guma local government area with aggressive patrols, with day and night ambushes that have deterred the bandits from coming close. I'll just
The commander added that close collaboration with sister units in Nasarawa, as well as strong intelligence sharing with local hunters, community leaders, and farmers, has led to the arrest, disrupted hit and run attacks, and improved early warning across difficult terrains. Lieutenant Colonel Otobo attributed the operational success to sustained logistical welfare and moral support from the Chief of the Army Staff, noting that civilian movement and farming activities have resumed along previously impassable routes.
That come from these three local governments. So far, the information we get is that because of the Coas Intervention Battalion 11, they are scared of moving in. So what they do now is they send in maybe 2 or 3 bandits, hit the farmers, and then run back. And we are also coming up with plans to see that we lay ambushes along suspected routes where they come in.
The military high command assures residents that troops will sustain pressure until displaced community fully return, reaffirming the Army's commitment to the mandate of Operation Wild Stroke and lasting peace in Benue State. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The military has denied allegations of a slow or inadequate response to the abduction of over 100 worshippers in Komi Wali community, Kaduna State. The military, in a statement by Major General Michael Onoja, Director of Media Operations, affirmed that efforts are ongoing to ensure the safe rescue of the victims. The military stated that they are working with other security agencies in intelligence-led operations. The statement acknowledged community members' frustration and explained operational restraint as strategic. The Kaduna State Police Command initially denied the abduction, but later confirmed it. The Nigerian military has refuted claims of a slow to Kebbi State now. The Kebbi State Police Command has recorded a major breakthrough against kidnapping, arresting 3 suspected kidnappers and recovering firearms and dangerous weapons during an intelligence-led operation in the state. The suspects, Abubakar Muhammadu, Abdullah Imado, and Ali Jimo, were arrested at Bagudu Market following actionable intelligence. A search conducted by operatives led to the recovery of 2 locally made firearms, 1 cartridge, and 3 machetes. Preliminary investigations link the trio to a previous kidnapping incident in Bani Kusu village, Shanga local government area, where a 55-year-old man was abducted from his home. The police described the arrest as a significant step in dismantling kidnapping networks operating in Kebbi State. The case has been transferred to the state's Criminal Investigation Department in Breni Kebbi for further investigation, after which the suspects will be charged to court. The new Nigeria People's Party has expressed profound disappointment over Governor Abba Yusuf's resignation, describing it as a betrayal of the people of Kano State and a setback for the Kwankwasiya movement he once championed. In a statement by the NNPP National Publicity Secretary, Oladipo Johnson, he said history proves that those who sacrifice loyalty for convenience and integrity for deceit seldom escape the judgment of the people. Despite having the backing of former Kano Governor and Kwankwasiya movement leader Rabiu Kwankwaso, Yusuf announced his resignation from the NNPP after weeks of speculation and political tension in the state. While he has not officially disclosed his next political move, recent meetings have led many to believe he is likely to join the All Progressive Congress, the APC. The African Democratic Congress has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission to reschedule the forthcoming Federal Capital Territory elections, citing the need to respect the Ramadan fasting period observed by Muslim faithfuls across the country. ADC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi said in a statement that the party had formally conveyed its position to the electoral body in a letter dated January 2022, noting that the ADC remains committed to supporting electoral arrangements that respect diversity. INEC has scheduled the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections for January-February 21, 2026, which coincides with the Ramadan fasting period. Abdullahi explained that the letter also underscored that the appeal was driven by the desire to safeguard inclusiveness in the electoral process. You're watching the live broadcast of AM News. When AM News continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please to stay with us.
Hello, glad to have you with us on the weather forecast for Sunday. Residents of Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa environs are expected to experience moderate dust haze. Visibility here is expected to be in the range of 2 to 5 kilometers. If you're in this region and you're sensitive to dust particles, we advise to please take necessary precaution. To other parts of the north and north central, a sunny and hazy atmosphere is expected. While to the southern region of the country, sunny with few patches of clouds are expected, with possibilities of afternoon and evening thunderstorms in parts of Rivers and Bayelsa states. So if you stay in these areas, keep an umbrella handy. That's the forecast for Sunday. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.
The Central Bank of Nigeria says digital payment transactions have surged by 276% in volume and 581% in value over the past 5 years, reflecting rapid adoption of electronic payment channels. Speaking at the Committee on Bank Operation Annual Conference, CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso stressed the need for a balanced payments ecosystem where digital innovation and physical cash coexist. Despite the growth in digital transactions, the CBN noted that currency in circulation has continued to rise, reaching about 5.1 trillion naira as of December 2025. The Kano Electricity Distribution Company has suspended the industrial action by its workers after reaching a negotiated agreement with the labor unions. Following talks involving the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Bureau of Public Enterprise, Core Investors, Future Energies Africa, and the Kano State Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy. In a statement issued on January 23, 2026 and signed by the head of corporate communication, Sani Balasani Kedo, announced the immediate resumption of operations across Kano, Jigawa, and Katsina states, citing progress in resolving inherent issues such as unpaid pensions, employee emoluments, and outstanding benefits. The agreement includes the immediate payment of 170 million naira in arrears, a commitment to clear additional salary obligation by February 2026, the establishment of an expanded dialogue framework, and assurances of no victimization as scheduled pledge to improve security delivery and stable labor relations going forward. The federal government says it is moving to end bush burning and promote climate-smart agriculture and farming to improve soil health, raise crop yield, and cut emissions. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Marcus Oyebi, said that the move aligns with the Nigeria's Climate Change Act and targets reduced methane and black carbon emissions from farming. He urged stronger support from partners to scale up no-burn agriculture nationwide. Let's go to the foreign scene now. The African Union has lifted sanctions on Guinea following what is described as a successful organization of the country's December 2025 presidential elections, congratulated former junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya on his victory. Despite AU's praise, opposition candidates and civil society groups have denounced the coup as a charade, citing widespread irregularities, while Doumbouya has maintained a tight grip on power, restricting civil liberties and targeting political rivals. He was sworn in before tens of thousands of supporters 5 years after ousting Guinea's first freely elected president, Alpha Condé. Sudan's Social Affairs Minister Suleiman Ishaq Al-Khalifa says women and girls are paying the heaviest price in Sudan's ongoing conflict as sexual violence and other abuses continue with total impunity. She also warned that the scale of violations against women is among the worst in the world, with armed groups accused of having sexual violence as a weapon of war. Mukhtar Kasim brings us the report.
Sudan's war, now stretching into its third year, has triggered what rights groups describe as a devastating crisis for women and girls. The conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) has killed tens of thousands, displaced millions, and been marked by widespread sexual violence. Speaking to AFP in Port Sudan, Social Affairs Minister Suleiman Ishaq Al-Khalifa said women are routinely targeted during attacks, looting and displacement, with survivors facing abuse across age groups and communities.
The next thing, which is more profound, is the sexual violence using as a weapon of war. It was systematic with the same scenario and different scenarios according to the places, like the same scenario in Jazeera and Khartoum, the same scenario in different scenario in Darfur and all Darfur. Because in Darfur, it's actually accompanying the ethnic cleansing.
The minister said her ministry has documented more than 1,800 cases of rape since the war began, though she warned that the true number is likely far higher due to stigma, fear, and the collapse of state institutions.
And in Khartoum, the girls have been accused of being liberal. Why you are fighting? The next thing, that you are the people who have been marginalizing us, you have taken our resources, and then they accuse them of saying that you are fulul. Fulul, that means the people affiliated to the previous regime.
Investigators say evidence points to coordinated campaign involving mass sexual violence carried out with a sense of total impunity. As fighting continues across Sudan, advocates warn that justice for survivors remain elusive, while the long-term trauma inflicted on women and girls threaten to deepen the country's humanitarian crisis for generations to come. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
NATO is moving to boost its defenses along European borders with Russia by creating an AI-assisted automated zone, not reliant on human ground forces, a German general has said. The zone would act as a defensive buffer before any enemy forces advances into some sort of hot zone where traditional combats could happen, says General Thomas Lewin, NATO's Deputy Chief of Staff for Operation. The automated area would have sensors to detect enemy forces and activate defenses such as drones, semi-autonomous combat vehicles, land-based robots, as well as automatic air defenses and anti-missile system, Lewin said. United Kingdom's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has condemned as insulting President Donald Trump's claim that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, avoided the front lines during the Afghanistan war. Trump's comments made during a Fox News interview sparked outrage in Britain, where 474 soldiers died in the conflict following the 9/11 attacks. Starmer said he would apologize if he had misspoke in such manner, while the White House defended Trump's remarks. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Canada that if it concludes a trade deal with China, he will impose a 100% tariff on all goods coming over from the border. Relations between the United States and its northern neighbor, Canada, has been rocky since Trump returned to the White House a year ago, with spats over trade and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney decrying a rupture in the U.S.-led global order. During a visit to Beijing last week, Carney held a new strategic partnership with China that resulted in preliminary but landmark trade agreements to reduce tariff. But Trump warned of serious consequences should the deal be realized. Let's go to sports now. Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko will officially begin a visit to Morocco on Monday after fans from his country were detained in incidents there at the African Cup of Nations final. 8 Senegalese supporters remain in pre-trial detention in Morocco, where they face charges of illegalism at a match won 1-0 by Senegal against Morocco after due time on January 18th. Their trial opened on Thursday at Rabat Court that had been postponed to January 29. The two countries have cooperative relations in sectors including tourism, energy infrastructure, transport, and share strong religious ties. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has removed Ousmane Kane, president of its disciplinary committee, from all proceedings linked to the controversial AFCON 2025 final between Morocco and Senegal, citing concerns over a possible conflict of interest due to his Senegalese nationality. The decision aims to ensure transparency and impartiality as the football body investigates crowd disturbance and alleged misconduct during the match, with reports from officials and security agencies also under review. CAF is expected to appoint another senior official to oversee the disciplinary process, with a final ruling on potential sanctions anticipated in the coming days. Novak Djokovic has become the first tennis player to record 400 Grand Slam match wins after defeating Botic van Voldo to reach the last 16 of the Australian Open. The 38-year-old Serbian extended his dominance at Melbourne Park, claiming his 102nd win at the venue and maintaining his pursuit of the 25th major title. Djokovic said he remains competitive despite the rise of younger stars, insisting he's hanging in there as he continues his bid for history. As Global Television AM News comes to an end, let's take a look at the top stories. We told you that Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after high-level economic engagements, declaring that Nigeria has regained its footing on global economic frontline through improved macroeconomic stability, reforms. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria said Nigeria's digital payment transactions surged by 276% in volume and 581% in value over the past 5 years, reflecting rapid adoption of electronic payment channels. On the foreign scene, Sudan's Social Affairs Minister Suleimani Ishaq Al-Khalifa says women and girls are paying the heaviest price in Sudan's ongoing conflict as sexual violence and other abuses continue with near total impunity. And in sports, Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko begins an official visit to Morocco after fans of his country were detained in incidents at the African Cup of Nations. And that's it on AM News. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @GlobalTVNG. I am Ubong Usoro. Bye for now.
Hello, glad to have you with us on the weather forecast for Sunday. Residents of Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa environs are expected to experience moderate dust haze. Visibility here is expected to be in the range of 2 to 5 kilometers. If you're in this region and you're sensitive to dust particles, we're advised to please take necessary precaution. To other parts of the north and north central, a sunny and hazy atmosphere is expected. While to the southern region of the country, sunny with few patches of clouds are expected, with possibilities of afternoon and evening thunderstorms in parts of Rivers and Bayelsa State. So if you stay in these areas, keep an umbrella handy. That's the forecast for Sunday. I am Theodora Itzum. Thank you for watching.